Welcome back. I'm sure you watched that video. We saw the collections of Upper Wayfair, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and of course Joyce Mayer narrating some of their ordeal, of course, their success stories so far. In the words of Bill Gates, he said, I didn't have a complete university education, but became the world's richest man. We saw rapper Moneybag displaying the whole of his wealth, fleets of cars, luxury, a life of luxury. And he said, I had all F's in school. The question is, what guarantees success, a degree or talent?
So when people ask me that question, it makes me laugh, because I tend to discuss success around this definition. Success is about the constant and never-ending improvement of what it is that you do.
Okay.
And so looking at that from that perspective, and then you ask the body, the human body, between air, between food and water, which one is most important to the body? Of course, none is more important. All of them are all together. So when people ask, because I see what is happening right now in the society, a lot of individuals who have never been to school and they are making lots of money, and people think, okay, money is just a deciding factor for someone to be truly successful. I think it's a wrong notion for me. So we can't say success comes because you just have talent or because you have a degree. There are so many guys who have degrees today who are very poor. There's so many talented individuals who can even play better than Ronaldo and Messi, who are languishing in the villages, who are poor. So both of them come together, but those two are not just the only factors. Those are not the only two factors that can determine success.
What are the factors?
All right. So currently I'm reading a book by Mike Tyson. His book is autobiography. So Mike Tyson was talented, but then he needed other things to be able to become a success by himself. He needed to have conversational intelligence, how to make the right kinds of conversations, because the guy was a rough guy, and the way he used to carry himself, the kind of words that he used to spit out. And then he had a mentor who was called D'Amato. So D'Amato had to teach him how to speak. And that was part of conversational intelligence. Another thing is emotional intelligence. How do you manage your own emotions and the emotions of other individuals, right? So those kind of things can guarantee success. So you can, if you walk into the bank and you see individuals who are always shouting, I want to close my account, I want to do that, I'm going to check the bankers who are there. The bankers don't raise their voices at the same time with those individuals. You have to learn how to manage people's emotions. Certain things that you do can guarantee you success if you're able to manage your emotions and also the emotions of other individuals. Let's say, for example, a medical doctor now wants to conduct an operation, a surgical operation on a patient, right? And he needs the patient to be in a good frame of mind. And then he goes to the patient and tells him, there is a chance that you will die tomorrow. I mean, the way he makes the conversation, you could die tomorrow, right? But compared to when he goes and says, I believe that this operation is going to be successful. Yes, we've conducted operations before that didn't really work out well, but looking at what it is and the technology tools that are available to us, we believe that this operation is going to be. What do you think will happen to the second patient? Of course, will be. So you see, emotional intelligence, how you manage your emotions and the emotion of the other individual, right? And by the time they step into the theater, this individual is already calm and relaxed, and the operation can be successful, right? And then the other one is what we call executive intelligence, how you also carry yourself. Let's say, for example, you're a salesman, you know how to really sell, right? And then you go to someone like Dangote and you're sitting with him and you want to pitch, and you can't look at him eyeball to eyeball and be able to express what it is that you've got to pitch to him. Well, those are skills that you can learn. Now, education is not about just opening a book and reading. Education is all inclusive right now. The things that we read on the internet, the things that we read on social media, the conversations that we have with people in the bus or in workplace or places that we go to, these things accrue all to the education that we are learning, right? Education is about improving one's mental acuities, right? Improving yourself, becoming better as an individual, learning about society, learning about sports, about politics, about happenings around the world. Those things are part and parcel of education. So people tend to look at education from the point of view that it has to be within this environment. Right now, we're moving away from those orthodox, conventional ways of learning to ways that we can even learn outside of the workplace.
But those
right?
orthodox formats of education seems to be very important.
It's important. We're not saying they're not important, but we need to look at the fact that education is not just within the walls of the university anymore.
Okay.
And that's the truth. If you check now what's happening around the world, right? When the virus came, a lot of individuals were learning away from the walls of the environment of the university, right? So we have people now doing online courses. People like me who have expertise and experience in certain things, we put them in video format and people watch us, they learn, and they apply it in their lives, in their businesses. And then, for example, some of the experiences that I had when I was working as you know, in an oil servicing company, I began to put them out on social media, on Facebook. And people were learning, oh, right, so this is how to work in an environment. This is how to relate with your fellow employee. This is how to be resourceful within an organization. Those things, they may not find them in books, but because I shared from the depth of my experiences, they have become educated, not just by attending a university or getting a degree or anything.
Okay.
Right? So these things all combine.
Let's talk about talent. Right. A lot of people have actually achieved so much, putting their talents into proper use.
Exactly.
The person who are having this conversation, who brought about this conversation today, Moneybag, he didn't went to school. He had all Fs. He had to drop it. What's it called? Bill Gates didn't finish his college days. We had Two-Face DBA, one of Africa's biggest exports. He's not educated, talking about the former form of education. So at what point should we say talent has the bigger win over education? Now,
I try not to go into this struggle to say the talent is better than education, right? As I said, there's so many factors that have to come together to make someone to be successful at what he does. Now, if Tyson, who was the world heavyweight boxer, did not meet the guy that he met in prison, and the guy introduced him to D'Amato, and D'Amato introduced him to Muhammad Ali, and then from there, Don King and the rest of them, I don't think he would have become the world champion, right? So when we look at this rapper that you're talking about, people are seeing just one angle to it. Have you gone to have a conversation with this guy? Do you know the kind of individuals that he connects with? Do you know the kind of opportunities that he gets? Do you know the kind of places that he goes to? Let's take, for example, I meet Christians and they tell me that they can't go to a nightclub. But do you know, for me as a businessman, certain decisions are made in nightclub. So I tend to put my godliness, not to put it aside, but I still wear the cloak of godliness. But I'm trying to work with someone who has only time by being in the club. So what happens? I go to the club, right? I stay with him. Meanwhile, you're at home and you're praying for the guy to leave where he is to come to meet you. It may not happen. So I go there, I have a conversation with the guy, and I get a deal. Then I become successful at the deal. What then do you call it? So there are so many factors. We never know these guys. Many people don't know what he does at night, what he does in the daytime, the kind of conversation he has, the people that he moves around with. He's talented, yes, but trust me, one connection, once someone is speaking something in someone else's ears, can become something that will. Let me give you a particular example. There was a time that I was selling something online, right? So I was selling. I was trying to get people to buy what it is I was selling. Now, this particular woman on Instagram who has more than 200,000 followers saw the post that I made and loved it, right? And then she took it and put it out on her timeline. And in a single day, I made 300,000 naira in sales. I mean, people were just sending money like that just because of that particular post that the woman did. That is a factor for success, if you look at it. It wasn't dependent on whether I was talented. It wasn't dependent on whether I went to university. No. So there are many other factors that are together. And then sometimes we can look at the industry that the person is playing in.
Okay.
For example, if you look at what is happening right now, many of them who are creating skits are being given the deals by some of these companies, pay them heavily to do influencer deals and all that kind of stuff. So you find out that could also be a factor, a recipe for success.
So and I try to tell individuals, we can actually tie then success to education,
no, it's not
degree,
just about,
talent.
No, it's not just about education. Yes, I will not condemn and say education is not, degree is not necessary. For example, I went to school and I read mechanical engineering. Reading mechanical engineering opened me up to a whole lot of things that I cannot say today that is useless or meaningless to me because I'm doing something that is different. For example, part of the things that I learned in engineering when it comes to being able to build a structure help me to understand human beings and to understand when they're saying the things that they're not saying. So for me, I have a drawing in my hands, and I'm able to convert this drawing into, that is flat on the surface, into a three-dimensional structure, more than 3 dimensions. I'm able to think in many directions. How can I take this? How can I do this? How can I make this structure to be appealing and beautiful, right? It's a lot of thinking work.
Yeah.
So right now, in my business as a consultant, and someone is sitting before me, and they are sharing, my mind is going in many different places. Because of what? The skill that I got in university, because of my university degree, right? So I cannot say that going to university and getting a degree is something that is not important. But I tell you that success is about a lot of factors: degrees, your talent, your ability to be patient, your perseverance, your connecting with right individuals, your intelligence, as I said, conversations, emotional and executive. All these things all come together to become. I'll give you a particular example when it comes to like executive intelligence. So I used to work with a politician who was going to become a governor of a state, right? And so we were all together in the office with him. And then he said to me, I was bidding for something. And I saw people who I was better than, right, getting the deal. They were quoting thousands of dollars. And I didn't even quote up to $1,000. I didn't even quote. I was quoting in Naira. And this man sat before me and he said to me, Emeka, there's something that you're forgetting. There's something that you're missing out in what you're doing with regards to your job. And he said it's executive intelligence, how you carry yourself, because then I never bothered about dressing. I never bothered, I just felt that I had it in my head. And because I had it in my head, he needed to pay me to be able to execute, right? But he said to me, all those things come together. That was when I started paying attention to my dressing, the way I was carrying myself, my boldness, my confidence. But what? I went to school, isn't it? But those who I could see their presentations. I was better off than them. But because of what? They've gotten knowledge of some of other things that come together when it has to do with success. And they were able to get on better than me, right?
Okay, let's talk on the importance of time and chances and attaining success goals. Some people kept saying, it's not yet my time. Some will say, though it's my time, but the chances and opportunity was not melted to me. So what role does time and chance play when we talk about success?
Okay, so I look at it from 2 angles, right? When it comes to time, there are certain things that cannot be boycotted. For example, you are training to become a medical doctor, right? Time plays a role. It's not my time because you have not gone through the rudiments to become a medical doctor. You have to go through year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 like that, year 5, year 6, right? That has been stipulated for you to go through. Then your residency and everything before you eventually become what? A consultant. The same thing with a woman who is pregnant. It has to be 9 months, isn't it? Without 9 months, that means you're giving birth to a baby that is premature, right? So that's where time also plays a role. There has to be a duration within which that can occur, given these examples that I've done, right? The same thing with agriculture. You can't, if the time of gestation for a pig is so and so months, if it doesn't get to those number of months, the same thing with a crop, right? Then on the other hand, which is the second perspective, is that there's something that you may not be able to control, time and chance. So let's give a particular example. I am skilled at what I do, right? But my ability to meet someone like Dangote, I cannot completely put it within a box. I can't say, right? It could be that I was working with someone and someone took me by the hand and went somewhere and said, okay, this is my guy, work with him. And it's happened so many times that I cannot even say, right? Time and chance. It could be that I walked into somewhere and I saw someone, wow, is that you? Time and chance. Came as a result of someone taking a chance on me.
Okay.
That I didn't prime.
So
all I was doing was just to prepare
those guys
myself.
in the village who happen to have maybe one talent on the other are not preview to people who introduce them or connect them to those who could actually alleviate their talent.
Exactly, chances. Or they themselves taking chances upon themselves. Maybe not even understanding that they can take a chance upon themselves, perhaps by leaving the village, by going somewhere, being with their friends and hanging out, or sleeping with their... I think I read a book by Julius Agwo, the comedian, about how he left where he was and he went to Lagos and he was sleeping in a room and there were so many of them. They were all together, clustered on the bed and all that. and then in the morning they would leave. They go to look for shows where they could prepare, where they could perform and do their jokes. Right? They took a chance upon themselves. But if they had stayed back and said, nobody's helping me, nobody, and then they just relax there, become subservient, and nobody. So it could be that they took a chance upon themselves. There are some individuals also who have been in the village, for example, and nobody was really seeing them. And perhaps, maybe, during the December period, one rich guy just comes back home. And maybe they see them, they are playing flute, or they are just displaying those talents. And the guy goes, wow, this is amazing. Can I take you back with me? That's a chance, isn't it? So either they're taking chances upon themselves to accentuate or to amplify their chances at success, or someone just takes a chance upon them. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I was reading, I'm currently reading the book, Tyson was just there. He was sent to the prison because of his misdemeanor, right? And then when he was there, they invited Muhammad Ali to come, and Muhammad Ali made a speech. And right there and then he said to himself that he was going to become a boxer, right? But then, where were the chances of becoming the world champion? And so he started going to the gym, and then he was boxing. And then the guy who was doing the training called someone else and said, I have a young guy here who I feel that is going to be great at boxing. That was how he called D'Amato. And then D'Amato said, come over. And then when he went, he performed before D'Amato. And then, but then he took a chance by making a decision. And then he started going to the gym to box, right, to spar with the guy. And then there was a call that was made. So you see that. But if he had relaxed and said, I'm
waiting for that
I'm waiting for. And then you find out that some individuals who say that thing about my time has not come. Sometimes I see it from the point of laziness.
Okay.
Really. And just being nonchalant. My time, take a chance upon yourself. Start working on yourself. Start improving upon yourself. Start, practicing. Start learning stuff, right? While you're waiting for the doors of success, or maybe someone taking a chance on you to open. But if you just relax like that and say, okay, really, I don't get it, because they look at it they come from a very spiritual angle and say, my time is God's time is the best. And I'm wondering how God's time is the best. Really, I've never said that thing in my life.
Really?
I'm wondering how God's time is the best. What exact time?
Maybe there's a stipulated time for them to achieve what they want to achieve.
How? Did they write it on the wall or in the book or something?
Quickly. It's not possible, or like what people usually say, I couldn't achieve X, Y, Z because I never had A, B, C. Could one tie success deficiency to life situation or life circumstances?
Yes, it's possible. Absolutely possible. So before stepping into the studio now, I was having a chat with my friend, and we were discussing about how we could make a lot more money from the things that we do, our intellect and creating knowledge products. And I said to her, I have a deficiency. What's the deficiency? I don't know how to run ads. I don't know how to do paid promotion for my business. And I told her I've connected with some individuals who spend thousands of dollars to promote themselves on social media, and then they make hundreds of thousands. For me, that's a deficiency. I need to learn it. And so now I'm learning how to do that. So I told her this morning that I set up an ad some days back, and my Instagram followership was 12,500. And I checked this morning, it's 12,600. Meaning that my ads are working, isn't it? But I had to go learn. So you need to understand your deficiency per time as you're moving along.
Okay.
Right? So in business, for example...
How do you do that? Do you self-evaluate?
It's an important part of your existence to consistently self-evaluate what is not working and what you need to do to get to where you want to get to. You have to, like in business, we consistently self-evaluate. What do we need to do? How do we need to get better? Who do we need to connect to? What resource do we need to buy into, right? That can get us to where we are going to. So I told my friend this morning, I have a website, I have these things inside of me. Why am I not doing well? And I said to her that I think I'm becoming too lax with myself. I feel like I know a lot of things, but I'm not. Why am I not being that very more, vicious, to showcase what it is I've got? And then she said, yes, now you have realized that this is what you have to do. Then go do it. So I said, that's it. So you need to consistently self-evaluate yourself where you are per time, and then need to realize what resources do I need to get in, who do I need to connect to, what do I need to learn to be able to get to where I have to get to, right?
And the journey of success, learning cannot be undermined.
It cannot be undermined. That's the thing. It's a continuous journey. Now, these guys that you're talking about, the rappers, as I said, you don't know who they meet. You don't know where they go to. They go to clubs. They listen to certain individuals. They connect with some of their friends. Who knows? He might have gone to Floyd Mayweather, and Mayweather might have told him, do this, do that, do that. And sometimes it's even showbiz. The way they show themselves. Some individuals want that. They love that they love that controversy that they come with. I was listening to, I don't know if I need to mention his name, the popular guy that we know that lives in Lagos that does cross-dressing.
Okay.
When I was watching one of his interviews, and he said something, this is what Nigerians want, and I'm going to give it to them.
That's true. I think
controversy.
I saw that. Yeah,
what do you think? And so that's something that someone can learn.
And if you listen to that interview, the picture he showcases to Nigeria is different from who he really is.
Exactly. So I think the interview asked him, do you love women?
Yeah.
And he said, and it was funny what his response was like. And somebody came on the comment section and said, you guys be condemning this guy, yo. In a few years, you may find this guy marrying a woman and showing another perspective of life that we never knew. And I was like, wow. So this could be a business strategy that this guy is using.
Of course it is. It is.
Dresses like this, does everything he does, gets in the media, people keep talking and talking, having those conversations.
And he said he likes fame.
He likes fame, and he's consistently in the face of the media. So he drives somewhere, stops his car, and then does one or thing like that, and people argue. Do you know that sometimes I found out that when people are beefing themselves on social media, do you know it's a strategy sometimes?
Of course it is. These are some of the things that we have to round up this conversation. It's always incisive with you at the time of the show. Thanks so much for coming. My guest has been Emeka Nobis, as an author and, of course, a business consultant, leadership coach. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Flora, for having me. I'm grateful to have been here. Thank you very much.